I was just 16 and a half when I got pregnant for the first time. When I thought I might be pregnant, a friend of mine made an appointment for me with her doctor. So my first internal exam was performed by some strange doctor whom I'd never met. He told me that I was definitely pregnant, and I remember him asking me what my parents were like and how I thought they'd react to the news. He told me I needed to tell them right away so that we could decide what we were going to do. My older brother and sister were with me that night, and I remember going home to tell my mom. We did a lot of yelling and crying, but I don't recall exactly what was said. I have a lot of amnesia surrounding my abortion experience, and memory loss is just one of the after effects. The next memory I have following the night I told my mom is of myself laying on a stretcher in a hospital hall as a few nurses discussed my case within earshot. I felt a huge torrent of emotions like helplessness, hopelessness, sadness, fear, confusion, and abandonment, all at the same time. As I was preparing this year's testimony, I remember thinking, I wonder where my mom and dad were while I was laying on that stretcher. Then I remember waking up in my room after the abortion was completed. I had a general anesthetic, and when I came to, I found my dad sitting by my bed. I was grateful for his presence, but at the same time I was heartbroken that my mom was not there with me. As we left the hospital that day, I was given a prescription for birth control. My parents told me that I was not to tell anyone about what had happened that day, and that if anyone asked questions, I was to lie. No one asked me how I felt, or asked me what I wanted to do. All the decisions were made for me, and I was expected to obey, irregardless of how I felt or what I thought. For the next 9 years, my life took a downward spiral. I began drinking heavily, smoking, doing drugs, and I drifted from one failed relationship to another. It was all in an effort to fill the huge gap that was left in my heart as a result of the abortion. I married at 25, and my husband and I decided to start a family right away, but we encountered many difficulties. I miscarried 4 times in the first few years of our marriage, and I believe the miscarriages were a result of having the abortion. At first I thought I was being punished by God for having the abortion, but I know now that God is not a punishing God, but a merciful and forgiving God. After much perseverance, I'm thrilled to announce that my husband and I are the proud parents of 4 beautiful children. 3 handsome boys aged 10, 15, and 16, and a beautiful daughter who is 12. They are all very interested and supportive of my coming here today, and I'm especially proud of my 15-year-old who came here today. He said he wanted to come and support his mom this year. It means a great deal to me. I have suffered with depression on and off for the past 29 years since the abortion, and I've also had trouble with relationships, in particular the mother-daughter relationship between my mom and I. I always longed to sit down with my mother and find out why she wasn't with me that day, but I was not allowed to discuss it. I attempted a few times, and I was told to leave the past in the past. Most of all, I wanted to hear my mom tell me that she loved me irregardless of what had happened in the past. I never got to hear those words because my mom was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer in February 2006, and she died 9 months later in November. But the day before she died, we did share a very special moment. She was in a coma, but for a brief time, she opened her eyes and looked right at me. With tears in her eyes, she said, "I'm so sorry. I've seen pictures of them in the garbage can since then, and I didn't know that it was a little baby." I put my arms around her and I hugged her as she slipped back into a coma. I'm so grateful for that moment that we shared, and it is the reason why I stand here today before you. Like my mom, there are many people who are not aware that abortion takes the life of an innocent baby. I have agreed to be silent no more so that I can do my part in making people aware of the physical, emotional, and spiritual pain women experience with abortion. I'm here to offer help to women and men suffering in silence, and also to discourage other women and girls from having abortions. Thank you, and God bless you all.